Apologize, everybody.
And there's dogs. Just go.
Finicky.
No, just go.
You stop
There we
Kevin?
go. Now we got it. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just before we start tonight and you do roll call, I don't know if anybody else has heard on the news or been able to watch the news, but there was just a really horrific shooting in a school named Robb Elementary School in Texas. It's reported that there's possibly 14, it's a grade school, probably K through 5, 14 students that were killed and a teacher. So if we would like to have, I'd really like to have a moment of silence just for that. Thank you, everybody. Roll call.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Facto?
Here.
Mr. Newton?
Here.
Mr. Parati?
Here.
And Mr. Randall?
Here. All board members have been provided with a copy of the minutes of the last meeting. A motion will be entertained to approve and accept the minutes of the regular meeting of April 27th, 2022.
There has to be changes made.
You know, you're exactly right.
They have me
Was
as,
it? Who was it?
they have me as absent. Monthly reports, I was here. I was absent for the public recognition because I was a few minutes late for the meeting. And they also have me absent for receipts.
Okay. So with those changes.
Make the motion we accept.
Motion to.
Second.
Mike, your
Alright.
second?
With the changes.
Mr. Bruno?
Here. Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Facto?
Yes.
Mr. Newton?
Yes.
Mr. Parati?
Yes.
And Mr. Randall?
Yes. And give me a click right at the end so I can give it to Donna after, unless you would be able to
No problem.
catch it. All right.
If you give it to me at the end, I'll get it to Donna.
Addresses, we have none tonight. Communications, I have a couple. One is from LaBerge Group, who's working on the Marshall Water. I had a phone conference with Scott, Ben Seiden, and Ron. They are suggesting that we move forward with that project on parallel paths, as we're still looking for more grant monies to help with that project, so that it's online, so that we do not lose the 1.5 million that we got from CDBG and the 1.3 million from USDARD, along with the 38-year bond for up to 5.7 million, which would be the remainder of that if we don't get any more funding. Basically what it boils down to, we did not get the WIA grant, which would have been 3 million. And one of the big point systems on the WIA grant, along with others, is that the project be shovel ready. We had everything in place except for the ERR. So in order for them to prepare the ERR, we would have to agree to move forward, as we already did by a motion, to have LaBerge move forward with the oversight of that whole project. I was a little apprehensive to pull the trigger on that until I knew what the funding of it was going to be. But at this point in time, it's suggested that we move forward on parallel tracks. So that's pretty much what this email is. We'll work on that on a work session. I will get you a little bit more detail. On another note, the congressional funding that I put in for, right at the last minute there 3 weeks ago, we put in for Gillibrand, Schumer, and Elise Stefanik. I did not hear anything from Gillibrand's office or Schumer's office, but Elise Stefanik did pick our project for congressional funding. So we're a long way from securing it. It's got to go through the Ways and Means Committee in Washington DC, and it would have to be approved for the Senate after. But out of all of New York State to have our town picked for our representative to pick our town, that's exciting. Okay, so we're moving forward on it. I haven't given up on the rest of the funding. We can reapply for the WIA grant, that $3 million grant again this year. It would be sometime in July, but we really should move forward with the ERR, and in order to do that, we need to pull the plug and at least commit to LaBerge that they are going to, which we already have. We just haven't signed it. I haven't signed the contract because I was waiting for that, see if we're getting any extra money. So that's one communication and an update. This is from Kim Kimball at Clinton County Department of Personnel. This is, dear Mr. Randall, thank you for reporting personnel actions and salary changes to comply with the civil service law and closes your fully certified 2022 payroll. So they've, we went through the audit and they have said that we're good. We did everything we needed to do there. This is on another note. I got a communication from Mr. Thomas, who was is in charge of the cleaning company that cleans for the offices here. And as you know, he was gonna do away with the cleaning service here, and we had advertised for somebody else to take that over. It was in the paper 2 weeks. Matter of fact, all of these ads got added back in again last week, the beginning of this week, for this week and next week again. But he is willing to retain the services here. He said one of the biggest issues that he had, why he was going to give it up, was the waxing and the washing of, the stripping and the waxing of the floors out there, the tile floors. And that the supplies now are like over $219.67 he's got here. So he would be willing to continue with that contract if we were willing to give him $800. It's within my purview because of the amount to do that, but I really would like to know from the board whether or not they think that is acceptable. Now what I want you to know is that he does that twice a year, so that $219.67 times 2 times, he's really doing the floors for about $300 so, after the supplies. So if you guys are kind of on board with that, I don't need a motion, I just want to kind of...
Well, Kevin, did you have any other response?
I had one.
Anyone else?
Yep, I had one, Reggie. I'm glad you brought it up. He came in here, I showed him everything and gave him the expectations. That was about a week and a half ago. He said he would come right back down with a estimate, because he didn't have one until he went home and figured it out, and I still haven't heard from him. So, we need the offices cleaned down here, and the floors, and the garbage dumped, and the bathrooms cleaned, and we have multiple court proceedings that are going to be going on, and the bathrooms definitely need to be kept up. I don't have the time to do it, so at this time, if he's willing to do it for extra money, that's what he was worried about. We usually do it around April, and then again just before fall. So those 2 claims.
And the carpets are getting done, boys, too.
Huh?
The carpets, too, will get
Oh,
done,
I didn't
boys.
see that. And the carpets, yeah, he shampoos, that's right. He shampoos the carpets, he's not charging extra for that during those 2 claims.
I'm good with it.
I'm
You guys
good with it.
that? Okay, that's all I wanted to hear. Yeah, you were good.
He's always done a good job. He's been here a long time for us.
10 years.
Long time, Michael. Yep. I concur. So I guess you got your answer. I think that maybe, yeah, I think that's it for that. All right, monthly reports. Everybody had a chance to review the monthly reports. You got a copy of those?
Correction needed.
Go ahead.
We have to add dog control in there. There's a monthly report for the dog control.
Yep. Okay, exactly, that's correct.
Motion.
Mr. Newton,
Second?
second by Mr. Facto.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Facto?
Yes.
Mr. Newton?
Yes.
Mr. Parati?
Yes.
And Mr. Randall?
Yes. Receipts. Tax collector, 0. Town clerk, $387. Macy Lane Water, $287.77. Morrisville Water, $1,672.10. Woods Mills Water, $484.28. Justice Court, Justice Barber, $1,957. Justice Van Ortwick, $1,036.19. Cash receipts, $25 Dick's Sporting Goods as a refund, and $43.98 from Citibank Tractor Supply refund. So could I get a motion to accept the receipts?
Motion.
Mr. Bruno,
Second.
and Mr. Parati.
Mr.
Roll
Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Facto?
Yes.
Mr. Newton?
Yes.
Mr. Parati?
Yes.
And Mr. Randall?
Yes. All right, minutes of the planning board dated 4/5 of 22. Can I get a motion to file
Motion.
by Mr. Facto?
Second. Vern.
Okay, by Mr. Bruno. Roll call.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Facto?
Yes.
Mr. Newton?
Yes.
Mr. Parati?
Yes.
And Mr. Randall?
Yes. We also need a motion to file the minutes of the zoning board dated 4/18/22. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Mr. Newton,
Second.
Mr. Bruno,
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Facto?
Yes.
Mr. Newton?
Yes.
Mr. Parati?
Yes.
And Mr. Randall?
yes. All right, department reports. Councilman?
When is the next work session? Have you got anything tentative? Kevin?
The work sessions
Yeah.
are on the bottom there.
Right on the
It's gonna
bottom
be
of the sheet.
6/6
Okay.
and 6/21. And yes, we need definitely to have one of those. I'll
Sure.
get with you all and see what one is more tentative, if not both, okay?
Sure. And I guess I can bring this up now then. I sent an email to Mr. Bruno regarding funding for the senior citizens, which is coming up. And I spoke to Kevin about it as well. And it just appears that in terms of the money that's being shelled out for these programs, it's only $1,700 a year. And it seems to be very little. And speaking with Vern about it, maybe we could have a way where we can get more programs going, maybe coordinating with Senior Citizens Council of Clinton County. They have a big program, they have a calendar each month, and they have quite a few events there for senior citizens. And Vern, did you get a chance to speak?
Yes.
Oh.
I responded back to you.
Oh yeah, did you get a chance to speak to whoever the group is?
No.
Yeah.
Nope. Not at all.
I know there, I guess, been very little activity for a while.
After our discussion, or during our discussion, we brought this topic up several times.
Sure.
The county does have a lot larger civic service for the senior citizens, and I am not opposed of using the funds that we have already there. And it's brought to my attention that the county would be willing to hold those funds, and as those individuals that are eligible for the program would like to utilize those services, they would then keep track of what's there and how much was spent. As far as adding to it, the budget of 22 was passed, and it did keep in the senior group that the funding for the senior group that's been in play for years down here. Like Mr. Facto alluded to, due to COVID, that group has not met since then because they're all of that age group where they were kind of wary of getting together in a group setting. Hopefully that we're getting on the other side of this, quote unquote. From the last what I hear from the CDC and things, maybe we could start opening up that program. But the money's always been available to them. The money is in an account for them. They keep their own ledger and their own book of their funding and how much is in there. So that's why I asked that Mr. Facto or Mr. Bruno reach out, as that's their subcommittee, to that group and see if that was something they were interested with. The other thing that I discussed with them is maybe getting a hold of something like a cart or or one of those buses that could meet here in the parking lot, because a lot of them don't have driver's licenses anymore, and to get them to those services. So I'm not against that at all. I hope that we can get the information back for the subcommittee so that we can make a decision with them as what way they'd like to proceed. But it seemed like a very valid program.
I could sit down with you, Mr. Facto, if you want to take a few minutes after the meeting.
Sure.
And we can schedule it together and figure what we want to do and take care of this.
Sure, it'd be great. And my only other, it's sort of a concern, I'm trying to figure this out. With all the projects we have with different water districts, gosh, all three of them almost, I guess, two of the three, anyway. Now, we've hired a certain group out of Albany, and it's been mentioned that they're being involved in oversight. And yet, on the other hand, they're not only their oversight, but they're receiving contracts. And just my personal, as one person, opinion would be, it appears to be kind of a conflict to have one group overseeing funding, and then when in reality they actually are the recipient of a contract. So that's just my personal opinion. We could maybe discuss it at a work session at some point. That's just the way I feel, that's all. And
Just so everyone's aware, including yourself, the preliminary engineering plans that were set forth and that we agreed to and held the public hearings on, and the preliminary hearings, or preliminary drawings and the preliminary maps were all sent to all of the same grant writers, or I shouldn't say grant writers, grant services for the purpose of obtaining grants. So each one of their individual departments look at our preliminary plans, engineering plans, to make sure that they are within reason and that they are to the standard. With that, in the preliminary plans, it is a set fee that is allowed for that service. So don't quote me, but I think it's 30,000 was allowed for that service, that service part of the contract, if we move forward. And they can't ask for more, they can't change anything, they can't, I don't know where the conflict of interest would be, because they have no power to supersede anything. And what they're basically would be there for is the oversight of all the other workers for the project. The contractors, like I said, the ERR for the environmental survey, and making sure that the grant money, when asked to pull, is done correctly. And it's just all those things that go along with like an $8.1 million project. Yeah, there's no way I am going to bite that off. And I don't think any of us as board members would be able to, have the team that they have together to do that. I did, again, put that out to bid. We're required by our procurement policy to put it out to bid. I had one other company that had bid on that, and once the bids were turned in and received, the board had made the decision to go with the Birch. So, for multiple different reasons, but. Duly noted.
Just one last quick water thing, Kevin.
Yeah.
I know that tomorrow they're connecting over on River Street. I'm sure you'll bring it up later. But at 8 a.m. they're essentially connecting a home over there. Would you want me to take a look at it myself, or will you be down there?
Wasn't that 2 days ago?
It was 2 days ago. And,
On the 25th? Was it rescheduled? No?
I gave you the flyer when
Okay.
you were in the office.
Well, I guess I
4
got
days
confused
ago.
over it. Okay.
And I gave you the
That's
flyer, the dates,
understandable.
and when,
Okay.
matter of fact, they had
Alright.
a heck of a time finding that water main over there, because according to the engineering prints back in, I think that subdevelopment.
Oh my God.
Went back into maybe the 80s. Is that when they did Ladue Street? When they first did the expansion down there? Not the Ridge Drive. That one was probably in the 90s. But anyways, they dug about 9 foot the wrong direction looking for it, and it was right underneath the curb stop. So I got some pictures I'll show
Oh,
you
good.
today.
How
That
deep
one-
was that, just out of curiosity?
That one was all of 6 foot deep. down
6
there.
feet deep.
But that is the new section that was added in after the 1956 section. So that was when they put Ladue Street in and added that whole subdevelopment down there. And then the newest line is all high pressure PVC, which is Ridge Drive there on the right hand side. Those are newer houses yet. Those are done. Don't quote me, but I think it's the
Okay.
90s. So that one line looked like it was in pretty good shape today. I did snap some pictures. I'll show that and share that with the rest of the board members. And if that's things that, as we're working through the project, as they're going through and they're digging, if they look at it and they say, well, you know what, this may not need to be replaced, some of the things that can lower some of the cost of
That's good
that
news.
project. But again, you're looking at 46 years difference in the age of the pipes, but they were in pretty good shape. Although that ductile asbestos pipe is not recommended to be used anymore because it's so fragile. But it's something that we can look at.
Great.
Yep, that's all connected now. That's all done. I showed up just in time because they were just finding the pipe, and I watched them do the hookup because it was kind of interesting. I was waiting for the water to blow up out of the main, but as they put a collar and a sleeve on it, and then they drill it, it's actually got an O-ring on the end of the shaft, and I don't think they dripped 4 drops of water to hook that thing up. So it was kind of neat to see that done.
Sure. Yep. Thanks.
Anybody else?
Mr. Parati and I had a meeting with the union rep and steward from the highway garage, and we have it tentative that everybody's got. I'd like to hold discussion on it until our next work session, and then go for a resolution at the next meeting. If that works.
Okay, so everybody did check their box. There have been copies for everybody. You've seen the tentative agreement and they've seen the finalized one. So I would second that. I mean, we don't even have to put it in form of motion, so you don't have to do
Okay.
more than what you have to do.
It's all right.
But we'll verbally say that we will discuss that further at the next work session. I want to thank both Mr. Parati and Mr. Benton for their work on that subcommittee and reaching what we hope to be a tentative agreement if we pass it at the June meeting, and in a very timely fashion. So we'll give the rest of the board members that haven't had a chance to see this yet 30 days to the next meeting or thereabouts.
Has Mr. McCormick got a copy of everything too? So
He should have, it was in his
I
box.
just looked it through.
Okay.
Yeah, I made copies for everybody.
Thank you.
Anybody else for councilman? Alright, highway, Mikey is not here right now. Donna is not here for water, safety and codes. I will make mention, I'll do that later on. Clerk, assessor, did Gary end up coming in here? No, because they're still doing their grievance process, so. Plan board. Do you have anything to bring up about the dock controller or not?
No, I just wanna make
missing our
sure.
report, yeah,
Make sure to get it listed.
okay. Attorney?
No,
Anything?
nothing.
Boy, I like this meeting. Alright, I'll ruin the curve and we'll bypass the historian, because she's out of the office for the first time, I don't know how long, on a little vacation. So I just wanted to make note, as I kind of alluded to earlier, we have multiple positions that opened up all at the same time. We are seeking, I should say Mr. Snyder is the highway superintendent, is seeking a mechanic / MEO. He's also seeking a regular MEO or motor equipment operator. We also put out
Who else got done? Except for,
both Sarvo, so you got Paul Sarvo
And Leo
and
Bartow.
Paul Licourt, excuse me.
right.
Paul Sarvo and Paul Licourt.
Oh, Paul Sarvo left us?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah,
Thank you.
no problem. Okay, like we had discussed, hiring for Mr. Goslin, who's retiring out of Buildings and Grounds. Sam is in here tonight.
Sam's here.
Sam's here,
Yeah,
right here.
yeah, I just seen him. I wanted to make sure before I put him on the spot. But I met with this individual and I liked his resume. He has quite a bit of experience in building and grounds, and he's kind of like one of those jack of all trades according to his resume. And after speaking with him the other day and asking him about some specific electrical stuff and plumbing things and carpeting and tile work and carpentry work, he seemed to answer pretty much all my questions. We advertised that at $17.55 an hour. I wasn't sure whether we'd have to go up with that, but he has agreed to that salary. I asked Sam if he would come down, Mr. Campbell, he's a rec director. They work, as we're Class B town, the departments all work pretty closely together, and especially those two, as he's in charge of recreation and Danny was buildings and grounds. They did a lot of work together all summer long, managing the parks and mowing and weed whacking, as well as helping the highway department when needed and different skills like that. So I had Sam come down and attend the later half of that interview with him, and Sam graciously brought him around the town, showed him all the parks, brought him up, I think you brought him up to the garage, correct?
Yes, we went everywhere.
All right, and introduced him to those people. My feeling is that he may be a good fit for the job. I'd like to hire him through the remainder of this year so we can get that particular job filled. We're still waiting on applications for the seasonal employment for the summer for that, buildings and grounds, and also a part-time year-round employee laborer for that area, buildings and grounds. So there's still opportunities out there. Mike's still got the two up at the garage. We re-advertised because we didn't get anything the first two. I think Mike got a couple applications for the MEO job. To my knowledge, we haven't received any for the MEO mechanic yet, and we haven't received any for the two laborers jobs, either the seasonal or the part-time all year long. So we re-advertised that in the Plattsburgh Press. It went in every day this time instead of twice in those 2-week periods. It will be in the paper every day for 2 weeks now. And I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed that we find somebody for those positions. But there will be a resolution in it tonight. If you have any questions before we do that under discussion, you're more than welcome to ask me. And I'll even put Sam on the spot and see what he thought. I have one communication from Charter. I'm not gonna sit here and read this because I get 15 of them a month, but everybody that is part of Charter, has Charter for a service in their billing, you will see that Spectrum LLC has changed a few channels, and I get like 5 of these every month. But just looking at billing, it'll explain to you what the channel changes are. I guess 2 more left. We had talked about, matter of fact, we invited him in here as a guest speaker to explain a little bit about the solar. I asked a month ago if you guys as councilmen would look over what the proposals were, find out any information that you may have questions about, and allow you to get answers to them. I'm not going to put this in a form of a motion tonight or a resolution, but I haven't really heard back from everybody yet on whether or not they thought that was a good program. Basically what it would do is give the town 10% off on their electric bills. All right? And the savings was in the thousands to switch over and say that we would go green, so to speak, and purchase. It's a state and federal 10% break on your light bill to say that you want your power from clean green. So, like I said, just as a reminder, if I could get some determination on what way you guys would like to proceed with that, so that I could do a resolution if it's pertinent for the June.
I'm good.
Because we're losing money the longer we wait, as far as I'm concerned. So, if everybody looks pretty agreeable to that, I'll make sure I have one for the next meeting. All right, the last, no, I got one more. We are crunch time. I apologize that it's taken a little bit to get this thing together. COVID kind of didn't allow us to do a cleanup, green up of the town of Schuyler Falls over the last couple of years. So Barb and I reached out to a few people that helped back when Rick was here, when he did a cleanup of the roadways and a cleanup, allowed people to clean up around the houses, but basically his was to clean up the roadways. So, you know, they advertised it. Casella has been instrumental in getting us what we need. Last time they gave us t-shirts, high visibility t-shirts for the people that were working alongside the road, cleaning up the ditches. They supplied pickers, if you will, long pole pickers to pick up the garbage. They supplied the garbage bags, and they supplied the containers, and they took the garbage for free for that cleanup, green up day. Being that the grass is growing so quick with all the rain this year, I don't think it would be advisable. I think most of the stuff is going to be hard to find, and it's getting pretty close to June now, where everybody is going to be out of school and looking for vacation, stuff like that. So what we decided to do is, in place of coming down here and picking teams and having 5-6 go to Flat Rock Road and 5-6 go to 22B or what have you, what we decided to do, Barb and I, while we're working with this with Sean at Casella, is to kind of put it on the homeowner in the hamlet. So rather than me summarize this thing, I will at the end, but I just want you to get a clear gist of what we're talking about doing this year. So rather than do it one day where either you're off or you're not, We planned on doing like a week where the town residents would be able to clean up. So, informal cleanup. This will not be walking the roadside. We're not gonna put a crew boss with you. We don't have to go through the permitting that way, and it won't bog down this problem. So basically what we're gonna ask is if residents have garbage that they'd like to get rid of that's on a resident or in front of their ditch line, and clean up just in front of their homes or on either side of their driveway pretty much, and do that. That's what we're looking at doing, so I'll just read this pretty quick. Informal cleanup week, Town of Schuyler Falls, June 1st through the 4th. And that's why you see I'm under the gun here to get this out here. The Town of Schuyler Falls encourages all residents and businesses to clean up the areas around their location to spruce up the town this spring. By the morning of Saturday, June 4th, fill garbage bags with your own or those available at the town hall starting on May 31st. So I called Sean today, and he is willing to donate a couple boxes. There's, I think he said 150 or 200 garbage bags in each one of those. I volunteered the receptionist to hand those out. He's also going to bring down some high visibility vests and some road pickers, just so that people can utilize those in front of their homes and their ditch lines in front of their homes. We're going to take the address of each individual that takes that stuff so that we know where to pick it up. I volunteered, I didn't have to say I'm volunteered, but as a rec director again, the truck and the dump trailer to go around and pick that stuff up by the 4th. Sean, I think it's going to be on the far corner of the fence line. I'll put it. He's going to give us a garbage bin, one of the great big roll-off containers. So that will be available down here that whole week. So if somebody, you know, again, that way you got a week, and hopefully you got a day off somewhere in there, or a day that you can commit to doing that. If you want to clean up that area or clean up around your house and bring that stuff down to the dumpster, it'll be here at the town parking lot. It will go on that Saturday the 4th, after we get done picking up, right Sam? What we got on the roads. So by getting the address of those people that are picking up the bags, at least we won't have to scour every road in the whole town. We'll know exactly where people are putting out or potentially putting out garbage bags to be picked up by them coming down and picking them up and giving them their name, giving us their name and address. Let me see here, with trash or other unneeded items from the roadside, etc. But put the bags liftable by one person at the end of your driveway near the road. Because I want to make it clear, there's a few things at the end that I'm going to cover what we're not going to take. And please don't put like a washer and dryer out there and stuff like that, because it's just no way we're able to do that. On the other hand, I did talk to Sean at the landfill and asked or requested that we start this a little bit earlier, May, when everybody else is doing town cleanup before the grass grows so tall, and asked if he would be willing to put a metal bin down here, as at the end he could probably sell the metal and maybe recoup some of their costs of putting this thing on. And he was all right with the idea. So next year that might be something too, where if you have those type of items where you want to get rid of them. And
the problem with that is you want to be careful, because if anybody is going to be putting stuff in there when they're not supervised, if they bring freezers or refrigerators or any type of gas items like that, they are
TVs,
not to be put in there. You can't have them there.
yeah, we're gonna put the same disclaimer on the bottom, and it'll be a little bit bigger then. I'm sure that we are gonna have those issues. I talked to Sean today about that, even by allowing them to come down and drop the garbage bags in, that we're probably gonna get some items that we weren't willing to take, but that's kind of part of the process. We'll put everybody on their honor. Hopefully they do the right thing, but we do intend to get some things that, you know, he's going to have to deal with that he would rather not. If it happens to be where we get more than really should be expected, Not that any of it should be expected, then we'll have to look at a different way of doing it, where rather than them being able to be freely come down and drop something in there throughout the 4 days, that we say, okay, you bring it down on Saturday, and somebody will be there to supervise what you're throwing in there. The only problem I don't want to do is clog this thing up, where if people are on their good honor and they have the ability to do it at 2 o'clock, and somebody else says I can't do it till Wednesday at 3 in the afternoon, well, we're trying to accommodate that to get the most people we can to clean up their residents and their areas, and to help the town look much.
On that note, though, I believe the town of Plattsburgh's having a tire cleanup day too.
Yep.
In June,
Yeah, they are.
June 9th, I believe. They want you to register by the 8th, so if you
Okay.
want to get rid of some tires right on the Banker Road.
Oh, nice. Thank you for that information.
Up to
Appreciate
10. Up to 10 off the rims.
Yeah, off the rims,
Yeah.
car or truck tire only,
Yes.
nothing, no
Yeah,
large
no.
tires, no,
it. Okay.
any of them other style tires.
Yeah. So on Friday, so I can get through this part, on Friday, June 3rd and Saturday, June 4th, from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., trash bags and supplies will also be available at the town hall. Starting on Saturday, June 4th, the morning of, town employees will drive around, that's probably gonna be Sam and I, the town, and pick up the bags and dispose of them for the ones that leave them out by their driveway. Drop your bags in the dumpster at the town hall, June 3rd through 4th, at no charge again, as long as it's not one of the items I'll read at the bottom of this. Please do your part to make us all proud of the town of Schuyler Falls and its hamlets, Morrisville, Woods Mill, Schuyler Falls, and the major thoroughfares and the many byways. Remember, clean up garbage bags available at the town hall, again, 997 Mason Street during the open hours, which would be, again, Tuesday through Thursday that week, noon to 4, starting that Tuesday, May 31st. Sheila Martin, the receptionist, will hand out the supplies unless she gets bogged down. I'll have to help her and get addresses so we know where to pick the stuff up after. Drop out the trash again down through here, not down through here, at the dumpster here, the receptacle for it, by June 4th. All trash must be in bags and available, again, to lift by one person. So that when we're picking up the stuff on the roadside, I don't want to, like you say, try to pick up a freezer. It's not going to happen. It'll stay right there. No tires, no dead animals, no waste of any of these types, electronic hazardous types of equipment, infectious waste, liquid, metal, mercury, anything radioactive. Hopefully you don't have that. No pesticides, no chemicals, paint, any of those, and no scrap metal this time. All right. So again, we're looking for pretty much the clean garbage that's hanging around. On the day that we start dropping or allowing the garbage bags and the sign up for this, Sean said that he would bring down pamphlets from the landfill that, in case I missed anything, that they consider hazardous. All right, so those will be available for those persons, so they can't say they didn't know. All right.
Is there any provisions for recyclables? Like if you have plastics that are recyclable
We-
that aren't deposit?
We didn't include the recyclables because most people that recycle do have something set up ahead of time. They are accepted up at the landfill.
For free?
But we're pretty much trying to do a cleanup, green up of the town, the roadways, and basically in front of each and every individual's house is going to help us out to get that done. But no, it's a good question, and we do naturally encourage people to recycle. Unless it goes to the landfill, right? The other thing I have, and I'd like to get done before, or at the June monthly meeting. Everybody was given three different copies of an agreement. We have to get this down to one. I'm hoping you guys have looked at these and kind of decided what way you would like to go. Naturally, there was only one that was below the CHIPS money that we received this year. So that proposal would be easy enough to say yes to. Proposal 1 was $61,210.45 over the CHIPS funds money. And agreement 3 was $112,457 over the CHIPS money and 35 cents. So if you could kind of, for the June one, I'm gonna call you guys probably over the next few days and see what way you're leaning towards. Look those over again. If you need copies of them again, let me know. I will make those for you. But I'd kind of like to get this thing put to bed in June so that he can start paving by July. So that's one of my other ones. With that, I am done. Unfinished business, I did have more sort of water down, but I kind of hit that right off the beginning. Does anybody have any questions for me on the Marshall Water Project before we move forward on unfinished business?
We're going to discuss the open meeting that we had.
Yeah, we can do that. That was, you mean the Macy Lane one?
Yeah.
Yep, you wanna do that? We can do that, it's under finished business, or do you wanna do it when we pull out the resolution or discussion?
That's good. Yeah.
Alright, anybody else for any unfinished business? New business? Of course, we're starting a couple new projects, like Mike alluded to, the Macy Lane, and Rickson Ave projects. Hopefully we can get something going on those by, I'm hoping the end of this fall, sometime the end of this year towards fall. They are not huge, they're not like the Muscle Water Project, but Macy Lane's substantial. Rickson Ave's a quite smaller project, but hopefully we can get those water issues resolved.
Oh, any news on the highway garage repair? Kevin?
And I haven't. I reached out to Barton and with Judas, and they were working with Murnane, which was the sole bid that we received on that,
Yeah.
to see if it was feasible to change the grates, the floor grates, from that aircraft style to probably a cast or a steel grate, which would be a lot more inexpensive than the aircraft ones, or the aircraft hangar ones. There was a couple reasons why we looked at those. They were like 3 times the tensile strength, and they had a lot more corrosion resistant than just an iron grate that tends to rust, and that's what happened to the old ones, that they kind of rusted and broke apart. But we're working with them to see if we can't get some of the costs down with that. If it doesn't look like it's substantial enough to make that project go, then at some point in time we'll have to look at rebidding that project out and see. We do have resolution that was passed here that we have the right to refuse any and all bids, and we have usually 30 days even after award of a contract to go back on that within that 30 days. But in this case, we haven't awarded it to anyone. We're still waiting because that particular project was 4 times what it should have been, or what we were estimating it to be last year before the inflation hit. So goods and services are hard to come by right now. Holding people to contracts for more than 30 days is hard to overcome, where they used to say, okay, if we give you this and we say we'll do it for that, it's good, you know, for at least 90 days or so or longer. We're having those issues like everybody else in the world right now. So again, I'm glad you mentioned it. Yeah, I did get a hold of them, and they are trying to resolve that, or at least bring the cost down. That's the only reason why we haven't moved forward with that particular project right now, is because of the cost of what contract came in at. It will need to be done one way or the other, sooner or later. Maybe not just the floor, maybe we can look at, you know, going after the the DC grant for the salt shed and incorporating a building into there and go back to, you know, if, I'm not saying we're making that jump and dumping that whole thing right now, but that's another way. I think that started out at $1 million, went down to $750,000 a few years back, and now it's at $500,000. That's another project that we will end up, no doubt, having to have done. Most of the towns around here have already got their salt shed up and built already. I feel that we're on borrowed time before there is a state law that comes down saying that you have to have the salt shed to protect the runoff of the salt going into contaminating the lands around it, and for the loss of the product itself when it rains or snows and it's out there in the open and it's dissipating by the weather. So that's another one that we'll have to look at. Any other new business? Alright, that brings us to resolutions. The resolutions tonight will be 22-48 through 22-51. Resolution 22-48. Motion by whereas be it resolved that the town of Scholar Falls Town Board acknowledges the resignation of Paul Sarbo, Highway Department MEO mechanic, effective date of May 12th, 2022. Under discussion, this open position has been advertised in the Press Republican already. So if I could get a motion
Motion.
by Mr. Newman,
Second.
by Mr. Bruno. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Newton,
Yes.
Mr. Parati,
Yes.
Mr. Bruno,
Yes.
Mr. Facto,
Yes.
Mr. Randall,
Yes. Motion so carried. Resolution 22, excuse me, I stand corrected. Resolution so carried. Resolution 22-49. Motion by be it resolved that the town of Scholar Falls authorize the hiring of Leo Bartow for the part-time building and grounds position as needed, not to exceed 18 3/4 hours per week. That's because it's a part-time job, civil service. We can't let them go over 18 3/4 hours